On the periphery of the solar system, there is a little world bound by toxic ice lurking amid the great abyss of space. A giant shadow covering the stars from sight is unmovable over its rugged horizon, and the dim sun slowly traverses the sky. The sun rays here are not able to dissipate the semi-darkness that the frozen plain wrinkled with bottomless crevices is perpetually shrouded in. This is Pluto, a lifeless kingdom of rock and ice covered by perpetual shadow. Let's find out more about it. Pluto is about 40 astronomical units away from the Sun and is a dark and indistinguishable object. This distant celestial body follows a rather elongated orbit around the center of the solar system, completing it every 248 Earth years. We know that Pluto's radius is 1,188 kilometers, which means that it is noticeably inferior in size not only to all the planets of the solar system, but also to some of their satellites, including the Moon. At the same time, observations of the celestial body's proper motion made it possible to calculate its mass with a high degree of accuracy. It turned out to be small, only 1.3 times 10 to the power of 22 kilograms, or 18% of the lunar mass. It is easy to see that Pluto is much more similar to small celestial bodies such as Eris, Ceres or Sedna in terms of its characteristics. This is the reason why it topped the list of dwarf planets in 2006. Due to its long and elongated trajectory, Pluto has a long orbital cycle. Only in 1989 did the planetoid first pass its orbit perihelion since its discovery, approaching the Sun as close as 29.7 astronomical units. Since then, this distance has been continuously increasing and will reach its greatest value in the year 2113. By that time, the dwarf planet will be near its aphelion, which is 49.3 astronomical units away from the center of our system. Thus, Pluto is a very distant and dim space object. That is the reason why it cannot be seen from Earth with the naked eye. And even in images from the Hubble Space Telescope, the dwarf planet looks like a murky brown disk without any surface details. Of course, in such conditions, it is almost impossible to study the celestial body properly. Some typical features of the relief of the plain can serve as evidence of this. Tombao Regio is surrounded by comparatively high mountain ridges. Thus, Hillary Montes, lying to the west from Sputnik Planitia, reach 3.5 kilometers in height. Tenzing Montes are located in the southern part of the heart. Some of them tower as high as over 6 kilometers above the dwarf planet's average surface level, which makes this ridge the tallest one found on Pluto. Remarkably, these rocks are likely to be made up mostly of water ice. And in temperatures as low as here on Pluto, water ice is as solid as rock. Moving a little further south, we can see a deep basin surrounded by massive multi-layered ridges of ice and rock. It is assumed that it may be the vent of an ancient cryovolcano, and the rock around it is its numerous frozen eruptions. Their chemical composition is of great interest to science, because once it is known, the peculiarities of Pluto's inner makeup may be studied. The eastern part of Tombao Regio is darker. In addition, its surface is pockmarked with a great number of craters, which means that this region is by far older than Sputnik Planitia. Moving further east along the equator, we will see a chain of dark spots, hundreds of kilometers in diameter. These objects are called maculas and are named after dark deities of various cultures. For example, one of them is named Balrog. Together they form a giant structure called the brass knuckles, encompassing the celestial body along the equator. The maculas are separated by high mountain ranges, and their surface is cut by deep crevices reaching hundreds of kilometers in length. Cthulhu Macula stretches to the west from Tombao Regio. It is the largest dark spot on Pluto, measuring almost 3,000 kilometers. Its surface reflects not more than 30% of the light shed on it, which is a stark contrast with the bright and light Sputnik Planitia close by. There is still no reliable information about what maculas are. It is assumed that their dark color is due to a high content of tholins, combined with a relatively large concentration of impact craters. This indicates that maculas are remarkably old. It is also known that the surface of Cthulhu Macula is heterogeneous. Thus, its relief in the western part is undulating. The central part is a smooth plain, and the eastern part is covered with mountains and craters. Leaving the grim spot which is mixed with methane and nitrogen only in some regions. In addition to Charon, there are several other satellites, but all of them are much smaller and irregular in shape. Nix and Hydra consist mainly of water ice and were probably captured by Pluto's gravity from the Kuiper Belt. Unfortunately, a significant part of Charon was not caught in the field of view kilometers, and it is difficult to explore its bottom because of the thick shadows cast by the steep slopes. Further north yet, near the very pole, there is the giant Mordor macula. Its diameter reaches 475 kilometers, and its origin is still debatable. According to the dominant hypothesis today, nitrogen and methane floating from Pluto's atmosphere were trapped by Charon's gravity and so settled at its poles. After exposure to ultraviolet radiation, they turned into tholins and gradually concentrated in the ice of the celestial body. This assumption needs verification, which will be an object of future missions. Charon largely remains a mystery to us because its research is only just starting. Although the Pluto-Charon system is undoubtedly one of the most interesting structures in the solar system, it is still understudied. Unfortunately, the New Horizons probe left its environs long ago, and the celestial bodies themselves are rapidly moving away from us, taking their secrets along. At the moment, the probe is more than 50 astronomical units away from the Earth, and from time to time beams back to us some extremely important data. By about 2030, all of its systems will eventually fail, and the probe will be left all alone in the chilling recesses of space.